Praise the Lord, everybody. We bless God tonight for another chance to come into his house and to honor him and to give him glory. He's a wonderful God, and we're thankful tonight again for Bible class and midweek service that the Lord is going to move by his Spirit upon our lives in the name of Jesus. And we're thankful tonight for the Word of God. We're thankful that the Lord is going to move. He's going to do something great in our lives, and we're just anticipating what's going to happen. We're going to anticipate what God is getting ready to do. He's about to do something in your life. He's about to do something in our lives collectively. He's going to help us tonight. He's going to strengthen us. He's going to move by his power and by his glory. So we're giving him thanks tonight. We're giving him thanks tonight. We're giving him thanks tonight because he's great. We're preparing for our next move. Our next move is what we're talking about. And our subtopic is, making your leader hungry. Making your leader hungry. God has given us a word tonight to be able to bring encouragement for those leaders who are out here, and also to give us a challenge for those who are part of leadership teams and part of leadership staffs. And we're believing God is going to help us tonight. He's gonna strengthen us as we are learning the word, and as we're going through the word as leaders, and as we're going through the word as people who work up under leadership. And this is not just for the church. So this is for your life and helping you in leadership in your home, and you'll be able to help your children, your children who are under your leadership in your house, or if you are a manager on the job or supervisor on your job, or God knows if you are a person who is you want to be a supervisor and you want to be a leader, but there's steps that have to be taken in order to take your church, your home, your company to the next dimension. There are things that have to be done, and there's preparation that has to happen in order for these things to come to pass the way that God wants them to come to pass. You've got to be willing to make your leader hungry. You've got to bring things back to your leader. Last week we talked about in Joshua chapter number 2, and we found that Joshua had sent 2 spies out to go and spy out the land. And as they went to spy out the land, there was a response that came from those spies. And those spies, they went and they found the wealthy place. They went and they found the place of transition. They went to find the place that God would have for them to be able to overtake. And so you've got to understand that in your life as a leader, God is not calling you to do this alone. God is not calling any leader to do what we're doing by ourselves. And so that's the point that we've got to take on as leadership. And I know that sometimes it's hard as you are in your building mode, as you are in your transitional phases, that you sometimes can feel like you have to handle it all by yourself. But God has not called for us to do this by ourselves. He does not want us to do this alone. So there has to be a impartation that you've got to do. We know that Joshua was part of the 12, and Joshua, him and Caleb, they were the 2 that answered the call of duty to say that we want more. There has to be an answer for the call of duty to say that we want more. So then Joshua, he goes on and he finds these 2 people that he wanted to send out in chapter number 2 of Joshua, and he sent them out. And as he sent them out, they came back with the answer that provoked Joshua to begin to move the people. There was an answer that did not come from the leader, but there was an answer that came from the people who were under the leadership. There was an answer that God is saying that I'm looking to have to come not just from the leader, but there's an answer that God is saying that has to come from the congregation. There's an answer that has to come from the ministerial staff. There's an answer that has to come from the deacons. There is an answer that has to come from the praise and worship team and from the ministers of music. There's an answer that has to come from the musicians. It just can't come from the leader. Yeah. So now the provoking thought that we have tonight is, will you make your leader hungry for the next move? You've got to push your leader by your level of hunger. You've got to be willing to push your leader by the level of hunger that you have. Now, a lot of us, we look and we say, man, we want our leader to be like X, Y, and Z, but you don't understand that the people in X, Y, and Z's place, they have a leadership staff that is undergirding them, and not just undergirding them, but they are also pushing that leader. They are also challenging that leader by their level of service, by their level of movement, by their level of commitment. They are pushing that leader. So you've got to start looking at yourself and say, am I going to push my leader to the next level? Am I going to push my leader to the next dimension? Because your answer can push your leader to the next dimension. So at the end of chapter number 2 of Joshua, we find the word of the Lord that says in verse number 23 and 24, in Joshua chapter 2, verse 23 and 24, it says, so the two men returned, descended from the mountain, and crossed over. And they came to Joshua the son of Nun, and they told him all that had befallen them. And they said to Joshua, truly the Lord has delivered all the land into our hands, for indeed all the inhabitants of the country are faint-hearted because of us. So in other words, what God is saying, that I'm going to show some people in your congregations, I'm going to show some people that you have that are working for you, I'm going to show some people who are around you that God is yet with us. God said, I'm going to show some people, and that answer that comes from that congregant, that answer that comes from that person that's on your leadership team is going to provoke the leader to begin to move. So the word of God picks up in Joshua 3, verses 1 through 5, and it says, and Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to Jordan. He and all the children of Israel and lodged there before they passed over. They lodged there before they passed over, and it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host, and they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall remove from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Come near unto it, that you may know the way by which you must go. For you have not passed this way heretofore. You've never been where you're about to go, but it only comes after being provoked by those who are following you. So you have to understand, people who are part of churches, part of businesses, part of organizations, you must understand that you are the driving force behind the success, or you are the driving force behind the failure. We are either the driving force behind the success or the driving force behind the failure. So they provoked Joshua by their answer when they went when they came from Jericho, and they had the answer after dealing with Rahab, escaping and having favor with Rahab, going up into the mountain, leaving the mountain, then staying there for a couple of days, and then they crossed over to go back and give the news to Joshua, and Joshua said, okay, now we have the answer. The answer comes from the visionary, but the visionary imparts it into those who are supposed to go out and spy out the land, and then they are supposed to bring back the news that is to make the news that is so strong that will help that leader to say, man, we can really do this thing. Man, we can really do that thing. Man, that vision that God gave me, it really wasn't that crazy. It really made a lot of sense, because out of the mouth of 2 or 3, every word is going to be established. When 2 or 3 come together, touching and agreeing, God is saying, I will do some things in those people's lives, because it all starts with the mindset of somebody coming back and bringing that word back to that leader and saying, leader, you told us this thing can happen. You told us that this thing could happen. Now we have experienced some of the glory for ourselves. And that's all most leaders want, is for somebody to come back and say, you know what? We can do this. We can get this thing done. We can accomplish the next dimension in God. We can see God's glory in the vision that you have given the people. You can do this. You can do this. And so now Joshua begins to move right from that particular place. Joshua begins to move right in that moment. We are not going to miss our moment. I come to let someone know on this evening, whether you're in this building or whether you are watching on the live stream, you will not miss your moment. God is sending some people that is going to provoke a hunger back into your spirit, where your dream and your vision had began to just sit on the side, and your dream and your vision had become depleted. I come to let somebody know that you are about to get hungry again. You are about to get real hungry again, because God is going to send some people to challenge your perception, and He's going to send some people that's going to say, you can still do this. Get back in the game. Your leadership is valuable. We need you to lead us. We need you to take us across. You sent us out to see some things, but we need you to take the whole camp to where the camp needs to go. We need some leaders that will get hungry again. We need some people who will provoke some leaders to get hungry again. We need some people to not shake your head at the pastor, but we need some people who will say, Pastor, I know that you've been down. I know that this has been a tough season. I know that this has been a tough moment. But in spite of it being a tough season and a tough moment, we still believe that this thing can happen. So these 2 spies, it says, and again in chapter 2 of Joshua, verse number 23, so the 2 men returned, descended from the mountain, crossed over, came to Joshua, and told him all that had befallen them. They told him everything that happened, and they said to Joshua, truly the Lord has delivered. Truly the Lord has delivered. So I come again to let somebody know that truly God is delivering you. Truly God is working on your behalf. Truly God is doing something for you that you may have never thought could happen in your life. Truly God is going to bless you. Truly God is going to change some things around in your favor. But you cannot allow yourself to faint, because it said that for indeed all the inhabitants of that country are faint-hearted because of us. All of these people are faint-hearted because of us. God is saying, I will use the spies that you send out to be able to come back and to help to change the culture of the people. So don't give up. Don't give up. You cannot allow yourself to give up in this moment, because this is the moment that all of the people are waiting for, so that you can cross over. You got to prepare for your next move. The next move will come through your ability to continue believing, even as you send out the right people to go see the right place. You got to send out the right people to go and see the right place. But you got to be willing on the response, your response when you bring it back to the leader. Are you making the leader hungry for the next move? Are you going to allow the leader to have a level of excitement? So the first question that I have for us tonight in this teaching is, what does the leader do when he can't trust his Nehemiah? What does the leader do when he can't trust his Nehemiah? So let's go to Nehemiah chapter number 1. What does the leader do when the leader can't trust his Nehemiah? Nehemiah chapter number 1. Nehemiah chapter number 1. Can the leader trust you as his Nehemiah? Can the leader trust you as his Nehemiah? Can the leader trust you with the goods? Can the leader trust you with the goods? This is the question that we've got to ask ourselves. Can my leader trust me with the food that's going to feed him? Can the leader trust you to give him or her a word that's going to help to transform their life? I know most of the time we think the leader is only there to transform our life, but you are supposed to also be there to help to transform the leader's life.
Yes.
The word that God has placed inside of you. How does the leader know that they're being effective? The leader knows they're being affected by the change of those that they're leading.
Yes.
That's the trueness of of success, when the leader sees change in those that they're leading. And let me make that very clear. Change for the better. Change for the better, not change for the worse. You've got to start looking at yourself and start saying, am I getting better or am I getting worse? Am I getting better or am I getting worse? Am I doing the things in my life that I'm supposed to be doing so that I can get better through the leadership? Am I applying myself so that I can get better from the leadership? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? So what does the leader do when he can't trust his Nehemiah? Is your leader starving or is your leader flourishing? That's a question. Is your leader starving or is your leader flourishing because of you? Are you making your leader starve or are you making your leader flourish? So what does it say in Nehemiah chapter number 1, verse number 11? It says, O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name and prosper. I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer. I was the king's cupbearer. So now Nehemiah has prayed because he has heard about the ruins. He's heard about the situations and the circumstances that are going on in the lives, and he heard about all of the walls being in ruins and everything. And so he had never experienced it himself, but he had heard about it, and his desire was to be able to go and change some stuff. In the pews, there has to be a desire to change some stuff. Not just in the pulpit, but in the pews, there has to be a desire to change some stuff. On my job that I work, we have this thing called vital signs. And the vital signs are not just for the leadership, but the vital signs are for the regular, everyday employees. And we encourage the employees to take the vital signs because they are able to give us an answer as to what it is that they are desiring and what it is that they want their company that they are coming to every day to look like. They're asking, we ask questions saying, what is it that this company can do better? We're not sitting in a boardroom. We're not sitting on a conference call and asking these questions. The answers are coming from in the downline. The answers are coming from the floor to the ceiling. You've got to understand, church. We've got to understand memberships. We've got to understand that the answers that God is looking to give is going to come from within the congregation. The answer is going to come from within the body, not just the head. So when Nehemiah, who was a cupbearer, the king has got to be able to trust the cupbearer to give him the food. How do we know this? Because the cupbearer was the one that was supposed to be able to taste the food before it was served to the king. Just in case somebody wanted to try to slip poison in, the cupbearer was one of the most trusted positions in all of the kingdom. Because can you imagine if the cupbearer would have been wicked? Can you imagine if the cupbearer would have been somebody that was untrustworthy? If there was an untrustworthy cupbearer, there was going to be a response from the king, and that response was going to be death. Because if the king gets poisoned, he's going to die. So the king has to be able to trust his cupbearer. In other words, are you trustworthy in what it is that you're called to do? Are you trustworthy in the positioning that you hold? Many want to hold a position, but are you trustworthy in that position? See, it's not just about holding a position. It's not just about having a title. It's not just about having a microphone in your hand. It's not just about sitting in a position of leadership, but it's about, are you trustworthy with that position of leadership that you have been given? Now, there had to be something about Nehemiah that made him trustworthy. Somebody who was sitting in captivity, who really could possibly be looked at as a potential enemy, is the one who is given the position to go and to taste the food. To be the food taster and to be the person of the most trusted, so that the king will be able to eat and the king will be able to lead the people. Could you imagine the king not being able to eat? Could you imagine the king not being starving because he couldn't trust nobody? He couldn't trust the cook. Then he couldn't trust the person that was bringing it to him. He ain't gonna eat. No. How many pastors are not eating? How many leaders are not eating because they can't trust the person that's bringing them the food? How many churches are not flourishing the way that they're supposed to flourish because they can't trust, because the pastor can't trust nobody to do what they're supposed to do? So then that means the pastor starts doing things that he ain't supposed to do, that she ain't supposed to do. And when that happens, then they can't study the way that they're supposed to study. They can't hear from God the way they're supposed to hear from God. And when they can't hear from God the way they're supposed to hear from God, everybody suffers from a hungry king. The whole community suffers from a hungry king or queen. Everybody's suffering, but everybody's complaining. But nobody's doing. Isn't that amazing? Yes. Everybody suffers. Everybody's getting complaints, but nobody's doing to help the thing to change the way that it's supposed to change. So preparing for the next move says, I've got to be trusted as the next Nehemiah. I've got to be trusted as the person that will be able to serve the king the food that's going to give them the nourishment, that's going to help them to have the vision. Anybody ever been hungry? So hungry that you really got dizzy, and your eyes got blurry. You're like, oh my God, I can't even focus because I'm hungry. Yes. Has anybody ever got hangry?
Yes. Yes.
You get hangry, and then so you can't focus when you're hangry, right? Yes. You cannot focus. You get aggravated. You get agitated, right? Right. Don't talk to me because I can't even think about that right now. I'm hungry, right? Right. We do all of these things. But if you do that, how do you expect the king or the pastor or the leader to be able to think if they can't trust you with the food? They can't trust you with the food. So now they hungry. And then they go from being hungry to hangry. And then they go from this place to that place. And they can't, and there's no understanding of why we can't move forward. You can't move forward because the king is hungry. What do you do when the leader can't trust his Nehemiah? Next question I have for us tonight is this. Will you bring information to energize, or are you bringing information to deplete the leadership? What kind of information are you bringing? Are you bringing information that brings energy, or are you bringing information that drains everybody? Are you a vibe killer? Are you a vibe killer, or are you a person that amps up the crowd? You know, back in when the rap first came out, they had these thing called hype men. They had the thing called hype men. They still got the hype men? Okay, so they still got the hype men. That's what Tamir said. They still got the hype men. Okay, so part of the hype, what was the hype man's job to do? The hype man. So now, like one of my favorite groups when I was growing up was Public Enemy. Now, Flavor Flav and very rarely rapped at all, right? But he was the hype man, right? Yeah. Chuck D did all the rapping, right? Chuck D, Flavor Flav, it might be 10 records, it might be 10 records on the album, but there was only, Flavor Flav might rap on one of them. But a lot of people know Flavor Flav more than they know the rapper himself, Chuck D, right? So, somebody tell me what Flavor Flav would say. Flavor. Oh, come on, y'all don't act like, no, come on, don't be ashamed. Come on, what did Flavor Flav say? Yeah, boy. So from the teenagers to somebody that's 60 plus, know that Flavor Flav was saying, yeah, boy, right? Yeah. Now, but can anybody tell me what Chuck D would say? Nope. See, that's how it works, right? So now think about that. Nobody could tell you what Chuck D was saying, but a lot of people could tell you what Flavor Flav was saying. So are you the hype man in the church? Or are you the depletion person in the church? Are you the person that's in the church that's going to bring energy? So you got to start coming and looking at yourself and evaluating as part of being part of the congregation. You got to start making your leader hungry and not hangry. See somebody just shout, hungry, not hangry? Hungry, not hangry. We've got to help the people to be hungry. So your information that you bring is going to bring energy. Your information is not going to bring depletion. So take a quick second. What's the percentage of the conversations that you have with your pastor that are positive versus complaints? What are the percentages of the conversations that you have with your leader? Are they mostly what's wrong in the church? What's not happening in the church? Or are they solution-based? Are they, man, that was a great service. Man, this concept that we can do. It will help this church grow. This will help this community. This will get X amount of people saved. Or are we coming that brings answers of depletion? Are we coming with situations of talking of deflation? Are you, come on, now what did Flavor Flav say? Yeah, boy. Come on, say it like y'all mean it. Come on, say it like y'all mean it. Yeah, boy. So, yeah, boy, yeah. So we got, so the more that he was running around the stage with the big clock swinging from his neck and everything, the more Chuck D, the leader of the group, was getting into the flow. More whoever the DJ guy was spinning the record, doing all of these different things to get the crowd and the energy was going. Could you imagine that Flavor Flav was consistently having a bad day? And you would have paid your money to go to the concert, and Flavor Flav was saying, "Yeah, boy." You'd be like, "Wait a minute, I want my money back." Because it ain't bringing no energy to the situation. It ain't energizing the situation. God is saying that he's looking for us as believers to energize the situation, not deplete the situation. 1 Kings chapter 18 verses 42 through 46. We've got to start bringing the energy to the situation. We've got to start energizing our churches. We've got to start energizing our homes. We got to start energizing our communities. We got to start energizing our workplace environments. God is calling you to be an energy bringer. 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 42 through 46. It says, so Ahab went up to eat and to drink. And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth, and he put his face between his knees, and said to his servants, go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up, and he looked, and he said, there is nothing there. And he said, go again 7 times. Let's stop right there. And he went up, and he looked, and he said, there is nothing. Now imagine the euphoria that Elijah has gone from. He has had a high where he has called down fire from heaven. Now he's at a place where he has told the king that something great is about to happen. He has vision for what's about to occur. He has vision for what's about to occur. Most leaders have vision for what's about to occur. But now that the leader, they have talked about the vision, and now they've spoken about what's going to happen, then they go into prayer, and then now they have somebody that's supposed to bring the energy. Can everybody shout on the count of 3? Yeah, boy. 1, 2, 3, shout.
Yeah, boy.
So you're supposed to bring the energy back to the leader. I know it sounds a little silly, right? But it's supposed to bring the energy back to the leader. What energy are you bringing back? Now, the highest height that the leader has experienced, the leader has gone through some things, the leader has overcome some stuff, and the leader has seen a greater vision that is about to occur. And as that leader sees this greater vision that's about to occur, here comes the servant coming back. And the servant says, what? There is nothing. Can you imagine how Elijah felt hearing there is nothing? There is what? There is nothing? What do you mean? We just called fire down from heaven. There is nothing? We just laid hands on all these people on Sunday. And now Wednesday come, there is what? Nothing?
Nothing.
We just said we're going to give away this and that to the community, and then when it's time to give it away, there is nothing? How does the leader feel when they get a response back of there is nothing? What is the leader? You think the leader is depleted?
Hangry.
So the leader is hangry now,
Yes.
instead of being hungry now. The leader's like, oh my God, I don't believe. How can this be? I can't even conceptualize that y'all ain't fired up after seeing all of this. I can't believe y'all ain't excited after God did this, that, and the third for us. I can't believe y'all ain't on 10. Y'all on -1. Y'all ain't gonna say amen. Y'all ain't gonna bring nobody to church. Y'all ain't gonna give in the offering. Y'all ain't gonna do none of this.
Nothing.
Oh, Jesus.
After God did all of that. Huh.
Wow.
Somebody say hangry or hungry.
Hangry or hungry.
Hangry or hungry. So the energy comes again from the pews. And the energy is going to feed the leader. And as the energy feeds the leader and not depletes the leader, something begins to happen. Now the leader, if the leader has any kind of good quality, the leader ain't just going to give up right away. The leader going to keep on saying, come on, we can do this thing, right? So now the leader says, go again 7 times. And then it says that it came to pass at the 7th time, that he said, behold, there arise a little cloud out of the sea like a man's hand. Sometimes all that a leader needs is just a small sign that something good is happening. And that small sign will begin to provoke that leader to be able to have more life. That small sign will be able to provoke that hunger mechanism that is within that leader's belly to begin to growl. Somebody say, I need my leader's belly to growl.
I need my leader's belly to growl.
You need the leader's belly to growl, because when the leader's belly to growl, then the leader will go out hunting. The leader will go out and start looking around and saying that I'm going to find something for me to eat, but not just for me to eat, because most leaders, if they have any salt, they ain't just going to eat for themselves. They're going to make sure that everybody gets fed. They're going to make sure that everybody gets a chance to eat. They're going to make sure that everybody is taken care of. But if you can provoke your leader with the news of there's a little cloud, that's right there. There's a small chance that we're going to have a big victory. Sometimes that's all is needed, is that there's a small chance that there's going to be a big victory that can happen in our life. That somebody say a small chance.
A small chance.
A small chance that will bring a big victory. So there, behold, there arises a little cloud out of the sea like a man's hand. So something was developing. Something was developing in the life of that congregant or that servant who brought the news back to the man of God. And when he brought that news back, something began to happen. Once he said that there was a small cloud that was arising, once he said there was a small chance for a big victory, that's all that Elijah needed. He said, go up and say unto Ahab, prepare thy chariot. He begins to speak with authority.
Yeah.
He went from the place of having his head between his knees because nothing was there, drought was there, to the place of supernatural energy, all because of the small cloud arising, all because of the small opportunity that was there. You and I, as the believer, have got to know that the small opportunity is that will provoke the big victory. Because if you bring the news back that says, you know what, apostle, you know what, bishop, you know what, pastor, you know what, teacher, you know what, this thing, that thing, and the other, you know what, we can do this. That one little small thing begins to provoke a response from the heavenlies down inside of the leader. And the leader says, go tell Ahab, prepare your chariot, get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. What rain? What rain? What overflow? What abundance? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Don't worry about it. Go tell him. Because you told me that you saw a small cloud arising up out of the sea. You told me you saw something coming up that was bigger than nothing.
Yes.
See, when you see nothing, it's empty. But when you see something small, it's bigger than nothing.
Yes.
Instead of looking at how small something is, you need to learn that it's bigger than nothing.
Yes.
When you start learning that it's bigger than nothing, then things begin to happen in the spirit. And when things began to happen in the spirit, you began to say, the word began to come forth and say, you better get ready because rain is about to be released. You better get ready because rain is about to get released. You better get ready because rain is about to be released. How does he know this? Because the voice of the servant told him that rain was about to be released. You say, wait a minute. The servant didn't say nothing about rain. The servant said about a cloud. See, you got to understand that when you're talking to a visionary, when you start speaking words to a visionary, the visionary will begin to see what God has already told them. And they will see that with you, what you can't see, all you got to do is give them some news that's going to bring energy to the situation. All you got to do is give them some news that's going to tell them that things are going to be better. All you got to do is give them one word. Sometimes that one word will begin to provoke a change and the challenge of change in the lives of the people. And Ahab arose and went to Jezreel. And it says, and the hand of the Lord was on Elijah. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
The hand of the Lord. The hand of the Lord came on Elijah because the servant spoke a word of a cloud into his ear. He spoke cloud, he heard rain.
Yes. Jesus.
The servant spoke cloud, he heard rain. And rain provoked a response from heaven.
Yes.
So again, are you speaking words into your leader's ear that will bring energy? Or are you speaking words that's going to deplete him? Because again, the leader may go 10 times one way or the other, depending on the word that he hears from the mouth of the congregant. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing how God will allow you to speak? You will speak cloud and he hear rain.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing? If you say, I'm bringing 2 people to church, they prepare for 25. Isn't it amazing how you who wasn't giving your offering or your tithe, you start giving your offering and your tithe, and then they start preparing for a big building? Isn't it amazing how you say, I really enjoyed that sermon, and they hear, I'm going to study 3 hours more than I studied last week? Isn't that amazing? How if you hear, when you're a visionary, you hear the amplified amount of what was said. Way more than what was actually said. That's amazing how God uses you as the people who can bring energy to the situation. Somebody again shout, come on, say, yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
You're going to shout it. You're going to make yourself to be the energy bringer to the house of God, to the vision of the house. You're going to bring energy to that next move, that next season, that next phase. You're going to be the helper that's going to bring the vision to pass. Last point that I'm going to make tonight is this. You are valuable to the next move. You are valuable to the next move. Some of us don't feel like we're valued, or we don't feel like we're valuable to the church. You know how I know this? How we come. How we come. Oftentimes, as people, we have a take it or leave it mentality. When it comes down to church, we have a take it. You anybody work with a person that always call in?
Yup.
Yeah.
You work with somebody that always calling in?
Yup.
How does that make you feel when that person's always calling in? First couple of times it was cool. Okay, I'm going to give me some overtime. That's all good. I'm going to give me some overtime. It ain't no problem. I can use that extra few bucks on my check anyway. But after a while, it gets real old. It gets real old when that person keeps on calling in. Now, you got to be stuck holding the bag because that person keeps on calling in. That person don't have no value for you or the company. That person don't have no value for what you need to do or the company's goals or even the customers that the company is serving.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That people who say that they want the most do the least. They always calling in. They always calling in.
When they get them.
But they want the most. They expect the most. They want the company. Then they get mad if the company shut down. I mean, you ever been a consumer that be like, man, what happened to so and so store? I used to go there all the time. You used to go there all the time. You used to go there all the time. And because, you know why it closed? Because you used to go there all the time. when you used to do something, that means you lost the energy or the drive or the importance of what it was. So then it couldn't sustain. It fell up under the weight of its own name. Isn't that something? How things will fall under the weight of their own name because people don't value what their role is in the church, in the business. They don't value the role. You know, think about it. When people don't come home, they don't value marriage, right? When if they don't just, okay, I ain't going home for 3 or 4 days, they don't value marriage. They don't value their marriage. So when they come home and their clothes ain't there, that means they didn't value the marriage. So somebody might say, okay, well, you came home and now the house is empty because everybody moved because they got tired of you not valuing the marriage. You got people they get upset. They say, I don't value, they don't value the church, so they don't show up. They don't see themselves as being valuable to the next move. So they don't show up. They don't give when they don't show up. Now, back in the day, we had an opportunity, or we didn't have an opportunity to give, but then you know what they did back in the day? Back in the day when they didn't come to church, they held a tithe and they checked. If they didn't make it to church for 4 weeks, when they came to church, they had 4 checks. Or they had their cash or they had their money order, and they would give.
Yes.
From that 4 weeks of missing service.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now we have Cash App. We got PayPal. We got Givelify. We got Zelle. We got Square. We got all of these different types of things to be able for people to give. And then people still sometimes, when they don't see themselves as being valuable,
Alligator arms.
they can't even reach, as Tamia said, they got alligator arms on their own app. How do you have alligator arms? You skip right past there, the bank app, and you didn't give because you didn't see yourself as being valuable to the work of the Lord. You didn't see yourself as being valuable. So when you miss, everything miss. When you miss, your money miss. And there's no reason for that to be the case anymore. Is that right, somebody?
That's right.
We have all of the things covered for you to be able, but you don't see yourself as being valuable. But I come to let you all know, whether you're watching on the live stream or in the building, you are valuable to the next move that needs to happen in the church. You are valuable. So you have to stop calling in. You got to stop calling in. Some people have gotten FMLA just to use it as a vacation time. Some people, they'll get their doctor to write them an FMLA note just to protect their job so that they don't have to go to work. Not thinking about when they don't come, how it affects everything else. It don't make sense to have job protection on a company that's going out of business.
No.
What do you need job protection for on a company that's going out of business? You don't need job protection from that company, but the company won't go out of business if you come to work and produce. Somebody say, I've got to produce.
I gotta produce.
You are valuable to the next move. There's value on the inside of you. There's great value on the inside of you. From the Message Bible, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 9 through 13. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 9 through 13. I'm going to read it from the Message Bible. It says, Paul begins to speak to Timothy. He says, get here as fast as you can. Demas, chasing fads, went off to Thessalonica and left me here. Crescens is in Galatia province. Titus in Dalmatia. Luke is the only one here with me. Bring Mark with you. He'll be my right hand since I'm sending Tychicus to Ephesus. Bring the winter coat I left in Troas with Carpus. Also the books and parchments, notebooks. Look here. Paul is speaking. He's giving out these directions and instructions because he knows that the work of the Lord has to continue on past his ability to be able to make it happen. Paul is preparing to go off the scene. Paul is preparing, but he says, even though he knows he's getting ready to go off the scene, he knows that there's a greater thing that has to happen. And that means the greater thing is continuation. Can y'all shout continuation?
Continuation.
Continuation is the key concept. How is it going to continue? First thing he rooted out was Demas. Demas left him chasing the fad. Demas left him chasing the latest and the greatest thing. What was it? Who didn't y'all say somebody was just in Chicago last weekend? Some Amigos or somebody? Who y'all say, the Three Amigos or somebody?
I guess it was Drake and
The
Migos.
three Migos.
The Three
Not
Migos.
three Migos. It's
Migos.
just Migos.
Oh, Migos. The Migos was here, okay? So how many people was at the Migos concert but called in for church on Sunday?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
How many people spent how much ever money, they spent their tithe and offering money chasing the fad.
Yeah.
They spent, how many, 2 weeks ago, Jay-Z and Beyonce was on the run too through here. They ran through Soldier Field and ran out with everybody's money.
Yep.
Wow.
But so many people went and paid hundreds of dollars that they didn't have.
Or even if it was $40, that's the price.
They didn't have it. And they gave it. They gave, now, if you gave your tithe and you gave your offering and you took care of your bills and you had that money to do that, you ain't hear me say nothing.
That's right.
But if you took your tithe and your offering
Yes.
and didn't pay your bills to run down to see somebody on the run,
Yeah.
you are Demas and you're chasing a fad.
Yes. Yes.
And you are not showing your value to your own life. You're not showing your value to your church. You're not showing your value to the building of God's kingdom.
Yes.
They went off chasing a fad to Thessalonica. And they left him there. How many people leave their leadership behind chasing a fad? But here's the good part where you'll find yourself as value. He specifically tells Timothy to bring Mark with him because he'll be the right hand. He'll be his right hand man. The Amplified Bible, the Message Bible says. He will be the right hand man. This is the same Mark that Paul had sent away because at one point he had no value. So do you see what can happen in your life? If you will just allow the process to occur in your life of growth and development, and you will bring how much greater do you think that it made Paul feel to be able to ask for the person he sent away? Because he saw demonstration of development.
Yes.
He saw a demonstration of development, which provoked him to have a hunger to say, send him here. Send him here. Send him here. Send him here. Is anybody asking for you, or are they asking you to leave? Is anybody asking for you? Or you know what, a lot of times I shouldn't have said it like that. Because a lot of times people ain't going to ask you to leave, but quietly they're wishing you would. Are you being asked to leave? Are people thinking about asking you to leave? Or are people asking for you to come and play a part in the growth, in the development, in the elevation, in the change, in the transformation? Are y'all making y'all leadership hungry to feed y'all? Are you making your leadership hungry to want to study? You're making your leadership hungry to want to lead you? Or are you making them hungry to want to escape from you? These are questions. Think about it when you go to work tomorrow and you look at your boss. Is your boss saying, man, I really wish they would quit? Is your boss saying, man, I need to find me another job because these people are driving me crazy? Or is your boss excited when they see your name on the schedule?
Yep.
That's what we've got to start looking at. This is what we got to start trying to develop in our lives. This is what we got to do. So you have a desire. You have to have a desire to want to make your boss hungry, to want to make your leader hungry, to want to make that person hungry when they see you. Again, say hungry or hangry.
Hungry or hangry?
Hungry or hangry. Everyone standing up on your feet. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you tonight for the word. We thank you, Lord, for your love. We thank you for this challenge that you have given us tonight. Lord, that we are desiring to make our leaders hungry, to be able to want to take us across and transition. We are desiring, God, to be your people that will help other people to want to come into our churches, to want to come and work for the business that we work for, to want to come and be a part of what we have going on. Help us as people, God, to develop our lifestyle, so much so that when we are showing ourselves and when we come back to our leader, we will bring energy. We will tell the leader that we see a cloud so that the leader can hear that there's about to be a rainstorm that's about to happen in the house of God. That there's about to be a raining of deliverance, a raining of empowerment, a raining of change, a raining of souls coming in from the north, south, east, and the west. The raining that's going to help us to be what you called for us to be. We stand in agreement on these things on this evening in the name of Jesus. Bless us, God, to be able to be a blessing to others. And we honor you for these things tonight. In Jesus' name, it is so. Amen. Amen. Amen.